Alright, what's up guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, you see it on the screen here. I like to put out one Red Yellow Sabo video every week. And today's video on Red Yellow Sabo will be the very last video before 8.5 releases in the West. Now, for any of the newer players who might not know what that means, what do you mean 8.5? What does that even mean? Currently in the West, we are in the OP08 meta. And typically it's like a new set will come out or something that's in between major sets or like a miniature set or something. But in this case, there are new starter decks coming out. Excuse me, 6 of them all together. Whoops, where's my hands? There we go, 6 of them all together. And they're going to add a few new cards to the mix for each color. Not that many new cards, but some pretty decent cards will be added to the format, especially for certain decks like Blue Doflamingo. And so that's the focus of today's video is Red Yellow Sabo going into OP08.5 because we did get 2 cards we're definitely going to talk about, but one in particular I think will definitely make the cut. Okay, so that's the direction of today's video. Let me give you guys a quick layout for the video. First things first, we are going to head over to the lab. We've got a game from OP09 featuring Shanks versus PLuffy King. Okay, that should be a pretty fun game to check out, see what we can learn from it. After that, we will head over to the One Piece English website, and we're going to check out some. Product release dates. Okay, so that way we can start taking notes in our mind mentally, and also maybe even come up with some kind of calendar plan on how we're gonna, how we're gonna do October, November, December, because there's a lot of releases coming out back, one after another. Okay, we're gonna check that out. After that, we are going to head over to the sim. I think I've got 4 or 5 games for us on the sim today for Red Yellow Sabo in OP08.5. Okay, and then after that, we will check out the deck list that I'm running, and we'll wrap it all up from there. I'll give you guys my final thoughts on it and all that good stuff, and we'll wrap up like that. Okay, guys, you know what you're getting into. I'll have everything time-stamped down in the general description. I will have all relevant deck lists and links in the comment section below. And yeah, all right, let's do this, guys. Let's get straight into it. So first things first, let's head over to the lab here. Okay, so we have a game of Shanks versus PLuffy King. Now, what is the lab? What is the VV lab? For any new listeners, any new viewers, this portion of my video is dedicated to helping out the community. Trying to help people out with their gameplay. And essentially, what happens is people will send me their videos so that I can review them in a format like this. Notice the names are all blacked out. You can't see who's playing, so that, it's total anonymity. And it's like you don't have to worry about people knowing it's you or making fun of you or something if you're making bad plays. It's not meant to be like that at all. But I give people my opinion, my oversight on the game, and it kind of works as like a free coaching, right? It's almost like a free coaching session with me for a game. Now, if you're interested in me reviewing one of your games, if you're like a newer player and you're just trying to get better at the game or whatever, or even if you're an intermediate level player and you're trying to take it to the next level and see what I think about your gameplay, by all means, guys, it's completely free to do. All you have to do is record your game. Most people use OBS. Then just put your game on YouTube, upload it to YouTube, and then hop over to the VV Theory Discord. And then you're going to post the link to your game in the Review My Game channel. And as soon as I see it, you get a thumbs up and you get thrown in line, and then it's just, it's first come, first served to that stuff. Whenever it's your turn, you're up. Okay? Okay, now, and if you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, guys, please never hesitate to put those in the comment section below. Okay, now, let's hop into this game. I've got the volume off, the speed is on 2x, and the quality is as high as it will go for this video. So let's do this. Let's get into it. So we have a game here from OP09 of Shanks versus PLuffy King. The Shanks player did win the dice roll, and they have chosen to go second. And and they chose to mulligan their first hand. So getting a very good starter card there with a turn 1 searcher. That is a very ideal search, helping you fix your hand, putting a body on the board, and just, continuing, going on a natural progression through the game. So PLuffy King had to go first, so they're getting to swing for 7 this turn. And then they, hang on one second, guys. Let me pause for just a moment. Okay, excuse me. So they did proper sequencing there. They only wanted to play out Queen for the turn, because even if they had searched with Queen first, they couldn't get Onigashima and then play it at the same time. So what they do is they decide to swing for 7 into the Shanks. Now, Shanks was able to 2k counter out of that. How is that possible? Well, Shanks' leader effect allows them to do minus 1,000 power to an attack for the turn. Okay, so that's, you know, that's a very strong part of this new leader, Shanks. Okay, so they 2K counter out of a 7K attack because of the leader effect, and then after the attack, then they develop the body. The reason you develop the body second, if you're a newer player, really pay attention to this. Whenever you're attacking and developing bodies, typically speaking, you want to play out the bodies last. Number one, it's less information for your opponent to be able to play around. And number two, just in case they have a trigger in their life that can remove your character. Okay, so it's actually very important, very good sequencing by our Purple Black King player. Let's see what happens next. It is now turn 2 for Shanks on their 4 Dawn turn. Okay, swing for 5, and then they're probably going to play out this Lucky Roo here. Yep, I do completely agree with that. Just get a body on the board. Keep curving out. That's a very good plan in general. So they got the stage. Excuse me. They did get the stage, and then now that card there. Hang on, let me pause for a second. See that trigger there? If our Shanks player had 2 or less life, that trigger could have KO'd the queen if he wanted to, but we're not at 2 or less life, and I wouldn't have used that on the queen anyway, right? Okay, so here we go. So we have 6 Dawn this turn. Looks like we're going to swing in for 6, and we have a 5 Dawn play lined up. Okay, playing out the new Ace. Okay, so speaking of the new starter decks coming out, we're gonna talk about that in just a minute. But this new Ace card, it is a 5 cost, 6 perfect. Right when I was about to say that. Now the quality on this recording is a little bit low, so I'm gonna interpret it for you guys if you can't quite read it. It says if your leader has Whitebeard Pirates included in its types, this character gains Rush. Well, wait a minute, we are Shanks, right? We're not Whitebeard Pirates. This is Red Hair Pirates, and I think 4 Emperors. Excuse me. But, however, even though we're not that, listen to the second effect. Once per turn, if this character would be removed from play by one of your opponent's effects, instead you may give this character minus 2,000 power for this turn. Now, the 5 cost spot within Shanks right now is actually up in the air a little bit. I've seen people run Rayleigh. I've seen people run Ace now. Yeah, this is my first time seeing Ace, to be honest. And then there's one other really incredible 5 cost card that's already within the Red Hair Pirates, group, and that would be Yasop. Yasop gives the leader plus 1,000 power until the beginning of their next turn or until the end of their opponent's turn. I can't remember exactly. But it is a 5 cost, 6,000 power character with a 1K counter. Very, very powerful card effect. Okay. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see what happens here. This is a great card, though. If you can play this on tempo like this, just right on turn 3, you're in very good shape. And they did 2K counter out of the 6K attack from Shanks with a 2,000 2K counter ulti. Okay, so there's 7 Dawn left, and they're swinging for 6. So that means they're probably going to use Jack as a follow-up here. We'll have to see. But I'm really curious as to what they're going to remove with Jack. So they're going to -2 probably to the Lucky Roo. Yeah, -2 to the Lucky Roo here. Pop that, so then they just get the queen. And that was actually very well played by the Purple Black King player. They seemed like a very competent player. Okay, and of course, guys, I don't pre-watch these. I always want to stress that. So swing 5, swing 6. I always want to stress, guys, I do not pre-watch these games, so I have no idea who wins. Oh, very, very nice. So an 8 Dawn play, which is all we had, right? All we had was exactly 8 Dawn this turn. We were able to play out Otama to do minus 2,000 power to the Jack, who's an 8,000 power character. That drops him down to 6. Ben Beckman can on play trash, not KO, but trash a 6,000 power or less character. So that was perfect. We did have to expend a 2K counter, but think about it like this. If they ever chose to attack with Jack, that's an 8,000 power attack. It would take 2 2K counters just to get out of that. So it was definitely worth it. And that's why it's also good when creating your deck to make sure your 2K counters have strong utility like Otama does. Now, of course, everyone is limited in their 2K counters. Not every deck has 2K counters with as much utility as Otama. But hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. Excuse me. Okay, they're going to play out Kaido, which can pop a 7 cost or less, and it does trash it. So they trash the Ben Beckman, and we have to discard a card from our hand. We end up trashing the Fire Fist. But check out this 10 Dawn play we have, guys. This is a decent... Hey, guys, this is a decent turn 10 play where you drop down Shanks and pop a 10,000 power character or less. That was really, really powerful. Okay, now Purple Black King is running the ulti plus page 1 combo, which is absolutely incredible. This combo, I've featured this before in other videos in let me pause for a second. I do think that that's probably the future of any deck running Animal Kingdom Pirates and black in the colors. Because that page 1, being able to pull cards out of your trash, it just gives you extra value. It's just an extremely high value card. And it's not exactly overcosted. But let's see what happens here. So it looks like the Purple-Black King player does need to put some cards on the board. We are in trouble. If you're the Purple-Black King player in this position, what are you going to do here? This is actually a really tough position. So swing for 8,000 into the face here. So one thing I want to mention, I would have been swinging into the ace as much as possible if I were Purple-Black King, because he's not saved. Like, it doesn't, how do I say this? His effect doesn't save him from battle damage, from battle KO. It only saves him from effects that would cause him to be removed from play. So that is one thing I would really be focusing in on. Okay, so here we go. We're just waiting on, right now it's the Shanks player's turn. He has, he kind of has this game in the bag, judging by the board state. Yeah, I think so. Swing 7, that costs a 0, cost 3K. Swing 8, and then we're going to have 6 Dawn left. Interesting. So I think we miscalculated a little bit there. I guess we could try to go for, hang on. So he only has 6 Dawn left, so he can't play out the Ben Beckman. So I think that might have just been a slight miscalculation. And I think what he should have done was swing 7, swing 7, swing 12. And not attach 2 to the ace, only attach 1. Instead of swinging for 8, just swing for 7. And then you're still going to get 2 cards out of hand, bare minimum, or a life card. And then you get to play out the Ben Beckman to get rid of one of these larger characters. But we still have a Lucky Roo follow-up. You know, it's not the end of the world. And unfortunately, we also can't do anything with our Fire Fist because, I mean, like, we could have tried to get rid of the Queen or something. I don't know. So I would just, okay, so yeah. Perfect. Very nice. So I was going to say, I would just use the Lucky Roo here to get rid of one of the attacker bodies, and we're good to go. Like I said, from the board state that we were in, I don't know if there was any way for us to lose this game. We were in a very, very good position last turn. And yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what he's looking for, but there's absolutely no card that's going to bail you out of this position for 2 Dawn, right? Because even if they did have like a, I don't know, let's just say they had like a 2-cost blocker maybe. If they had a 2-cost blocker, I mean, they only have 2 cards in hand, so they'd only have 1 card in hand left. So you swing for 7, you swing for 7, you swing for 12. You know, it's that simple. And then you could load up everything else on the Uda for a game. Good stuff there. Very nice game. Great submission. Like I said, the one thing that I would have been doing a little bit differently as the Purple-Black King player. So let me just show you guys. I don't think it would have made much of a difference. So swing for 6. Hang on, it's the next turn I'm talking about. Popping that was perfectly done there. Swing for 5 into 5, and then okay. So here we go. So now they start swinging with the ace. Excuse me. So right here, okay, trashing the Ben Beckman, absolutely. Okay, so they couldn't have swung at the ace because he has 6,000 power. That's very unfortunate. And then they couldn't have done anything anyway because of the leader effect. So it was this next turn here where he plays out these 2 cards, the ulti and the page 1. Talking about King right now. Playing out the Queen, very good. Now here, I would have actually just swung 8 into the ace. And yes, he could have, actually, hang on, he couldn't have. No, he did have a 0-cost 3K, so he could have gotten out of it if he used a 0-cost 3K. Because look at this, he would have gone 8 into 6, used the leader effect to drop it down to 1. There's really no point to do that, though. Or drop it down to 7, I mean, into 6. But either way, he's going to have to use a 0-cost 3K and a card from hand. And that I think, is a little bit more efficient. Because look what happened instead. Instead of demanding a body off the board or 2 cards from hand, look what happened instead. They drew a card. You know, the worst possible outcome for the Purple-Black King player is that he takes that hit there. Now, instead of going down cards in hand or cards on the board, he went up cards in hand and totally negated the attack. Now, I know you have to be careful when losing life, of course. I understand that. And to be fair, the Purple-Black King player is on a clock, right? They're on a clock. However, I do think the slightly more optimal play there would have been to go at the ace. And then after that, let me hit play real quick. There was one other play we messed up. It was this turn. This was the only play that I really saw an error with. And I think they actually came to the same conclusion. They were like, wait a minute, you know, how are we going to do this? So they end up just swinging 12, and then for 6 Dawn, they end up playing out the Lucky Roo and sitting on some counters and going about things that way. I do think that was a safe play as well, but here's the logic that I would use on it. I would have just played out, like I said, I'd have only swung 7 and 7 because that's going to be a 2-card response every time, or cards from life. Then 12, of course, with the with what's his name, with Shanks. And then if, okay, nothing happened where they still have 1 life left where we can't go for lethal, that's not really a big deal. That's not a problem. I would play out the Ben Beckman, trashing one of the characters they have on the board. Because one thing that did help us is, you know, they didn't have any kind of removal to get around our blocker. But at the end of the day, there's just no way to win in this situation. And this is when I was saying the game is pretty much on lockdown right here. The Shanks has already won the game, even though, the writing is on the wall, so to speak, right? Because even though the game's not technically over, for all intensive purposes, it's absolutely over at this point. Really good game, great submission, and I cannot wait for OP09. Now, give me just a second to get set up, guys. I got to black out the screen here. And we're going to talk a little bit about OP09, about some release dates. Now, these aren't new dates or anything like that. These are dates we've all known about for a while now. But check this out, guys. Let me start. OP09 we'll talk about at the end. So here's what's coming up for us, guys, for us over here in the West. October 25th. Guys, I'm recording this on 10/22. Okay, so 10/25, in 3 days, the new starter decks, 15 through 20, are coming out. So the new red deck, green, blue, purple, black, yellow, a lot of really big time, really good cards are coming out. In fact, from the, I'll just say the good cards from each one. Let me see something. If I click this, I just want to see something real quick, guys. Sometimes, oh, beautiful, perfect. These are all the new cards coming out. I was scared it was going to break down each color for each for its own page, but this has all of them. So the cards you need to look out for, guys. If you're a red player, you need to be looking out for this card, Ace. And actually, it doesn't show the new Newgate, the new 7-cost Newgate. But I'll just say it anyway. The new Ace card and the new Newgate, a 7-cost, 8,000 power Newgate, we'll be looking at that in today's video, or in today's sim games. Those are the 2 major cards to be looking out for if you're a red player. Even if you're not even Edward Newgate, Whitebeard Pirates. Those 2 cards are absolutely incredible. And I think King Doo's also a pretty decent blocker because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he's locked to Whitebeard Pirates. I think his opponent's turn, yeah, let me see. When this character, let me see if I can zoom in on it. It kind of increases the quality, but it says when this character is KO'd by an effect, up to one of your leaders gains plus 2,000 power during this turn. So guess what, guys? This guy, I've seen some stuff. I've seen people talk about using this even in like red, purple, Luffy and stuff like that. It's just a decent red card. That's all I'm trying to say. And then, of course, a new 2K counter searchable by Whitebeard Pirates for Thatch here. Seems good. Okay, now let's go back to what we were doing. So for red, be looking out for the cards I was saying. For green, the main card from this entire starter deck to look out for, in my personal opinion, is the Shanks. Some people might say that the Katakuri is worth looking into. Sure, I think it's fine. Gordon, this new blocker, he's fine. But the major card for any green deck to be looking out for is this new Shanks. This card is excellent. So if you play green, make sure to look into this. It's a 9-cost, 11,000 power character. On play, KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters. No cost restriction. It could be a Jack. It could be a, you name it. It could be a 100 cost character if something like that existed. And this guy could still pop it. Just KO a rested character. Now for blue, it's like every card in the deck is for this new Doflamingo, guys. Like a few people are not running Marshall D Teach. I've seen all kinds of different variations for blue Doffy right now, so I'm not going to go into like all the different logistics of that, or however you'd say it. The main thing though is, hey, if you're planning on playing blue Doflamingo, these cards are going to be very, very good for you. The entire starter deck is. Same thing for purple Luffy. If you're planning on playing any kind of purple Straw Hat deck moving forward, guys, this is a must-have. So for any kind of 7 Warlord stuff, this is a must-have for blue. Excuse me, for blue. And for purple with Straw Hats, this is a must-have. It's non-negotiable. They're must-haves. Now, for any of the smoker enthusiasts out there, yeah, you've got some good stuff coming in this starter deck. But I will say this. This one is kind of exclusively for smoker. Because this new card, Tashigi, is, in my personal opinion, the new Tashigi card is by far and a long shot ahead of the others in the new ST19 starter deck. This new Tashigi card is incredible, but you don't even get the on-play effect if your leader's not smoker. It is what it is. I don't come up with the rules, guys. This is just Bandai, and I believe their developer's name is Cardass. So there's nothing we can do about it. Excuse me. Sengoku, very solid, and Monkey D. Garp, very solid blocker here in Cycle Engine. But the real star of the show in this deck, in my personal opinion, is that Tashigi, and it is leader locked. It's not type locked, it is leader locked to Smoker. And then last but not least for yellow, we are getting some pretty cool new toys to play with here for Katakuri with the 6-cost Linlin. 6 Lin, I think we're going to probably call it. Charlotte Brule, the new 2K counter, very solid 2K counter. And this new pudding cards, kind of whatever. But the 6-cost Linlin, the 3-cost 2K counter Brule, very solid. And same thing with the 5-cost 6K Katakuri. Now, with that in mind, these are coming out in 3 days, okay? So make sure to keep your eye on that. These are retailing for about $12. The MSRP is $12. We'll see what happens with your local gaming shops to see how they sell. But check this out. In my personal opinion, if it's a little bit over that, I would not be too upset because of this right here, guys. Look at the contents real quick. Premium Booster One Piece card, the best. What is that? For those who are not aware, this is that, right? These are the new Premium Booster One Piece card game, the best booster packs. So each one of these starter decks will come with some type of PRB 01 contents inside. And look at this, guys. For one pack, it's $5.49. So if you can get this is just me talking now, guys, just my own financial advice to myself. If you guys want to take it, by all means. If you can find these for under $20, it's probably not bad, right? It's probably not that bad. But I will say that is still, I know that's expensive. Everyone can't just afford that. Like, oh yeah, I'll just buy all 6 of them, times 2, because you need 2 for play sets, right? So, okay, 12 times $20 ends up being, what, $240? Not everyone can just drop that at a moment's notice. But that's what I was trying to give everyone ideas. If there's a specific color you need from these starter decks, like if you only play like red and black, let's just say you only play like blue, black, and green. Well, you only have to pick up 3 starter decks. Now, yes, you'll probably have to buy 2 of each to get the full to get the full play sets of the card you need. But the point is, I wouldn't just buy all these unless you're either a collector or you're trying to get every card in the game just for be able to play every color in the game or whatever. But if you just play purple, guess what? You only have to buy this one. If you're only a yellow player, you just have to buy this one. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that made sense. Okay, now, so PRB 01 is coming out in November. So literally about 2 weeks after the new starter decks. So you'll kind of get a sneak peek into the PRB 01 stuff. But here's the thing. Excuse me. The thing about Premium Booster One Card the best, One Piece card game the best, however, that's the English translation of that is very clumsy. But hear me out, guys. The reason they don't care that this is coming out before the actual release date is because every card in PRB 01 is a reprint of a card already in the game, other than Sanji. I don't know how they're going to do that. That leader will probably not be legal until November 8th, if I had to guess. But I don't know. You'll have to ask your local gaming store if they're going to allow you to play Sanji before November 8th if you somehow pop it open in your starter decks. Okay, one more announcement. Let me make sure the recording's good. Yeah, we're good. So, booster pack, OP09. Check this out, guys. We have to keep... Okay, so remember what I just said. It's the end of October, right? It's the 22nd of October, right? Okay, well, we're going to have to pick this up at the end of the week. In November, early November, we're going to have to pick up PRB 01. And then in December, probably somewhere around mid to late December, I could be wrong, I don't know the exact release date, but if I had to guess, it'd be mid to late December, we have to pick up OP09. So guys, really, if you have to plan ahead for your budget, for your finances, now's the time to do it. Start making sure you can get what you need to for the game, okay? I always like to put this stuff out there so that way people don't get caught off guard, because, man, time starts going fast, guys. It's like, wait a minute, OP08 just got released, didn't it? It's like, no, we're about halfway through it now. So, yeah, definitely trying to keep you guys on your toes there. Okay, just making sure I haven't forgotten anything else. Oh, one more thing I do want to mention. I wasn't going to mention this, but look at this, guys. April 2025. EB02 has been announced, okay? Right here. In April 2025 for us over here in the West, which means it'll probably come out around, let me see, January, February, March, April. So probably around January, somewhere around January or February in the East. Maybe December? I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, the point is EB01 is coming out very soon. And no, we do not have any spoilers on this. Look, they don't have the the graphic for the front of the card, or for the front of the pack, I should say, nothing. So I can't wait to see what they put in here. This should be interesting. Okay, and this one is a special booster release to commemorate the 25th anniversary of animation. So that should be very interesting. I'm very curious to see what they include in these in the EB02 pack. Okay, now we can move on. Let's go. Let's head over to the sim. I've got 5 games for us, I believe. Let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay. I didn't even have to use my fingers, guys. Or did I? My fingers were off the screen, so there's no way to confirm that. But anyway, we've got 5 games on the sim. Let's check these out. Speed is on 2x. This first game here is against Belo Betty. Now, Belo Betty has been getting more spotlight, so to speak, than Red Yellow Sabo over in the East. And yes, guys, I've played this deck. I've played Red Yellow Belo Betty, and I think it's a great deck. I think it's really strong. By the way, I swing it for 5. They took it aggressively there, and they got a 1K. They trashed a card from hand to play out of Lindbergh from it. So that was a very, very good start for our opponent here, starting off with that Bartolomeo, or excuse me, the Bartholomew Kuma. They're going to swing for 5, and I'm just going to 2K. I'm going to take one. I'm going to 2K counter out of the other, and then we're just going to take this 8K and go down to 2. Okay, let's see if we can get a trigger here. That would be ideal. We don't really get a... Actually, excuse me, we do get a trigger, but we can't use it because the Kuma is at 5,000 power, so I can't even pop the Kuma here. Okay, that's why sequencing is very important. So, going to swing for 5 into... Hang on, this game's moving very quickly. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Let me put my glasses on. So, like I said, I got the Fire Fist, which should have been able to... That was supposed to let me get rid of a card like Kuma, but they had plus 3,000 power to the end of the turn, so that would have saved them. Now, let's see what happens here. So, my turn, I'm going to swing 5 into the Lindbergh, because I have a play to get rid of it anyway. So, we'll swing 5 into Lindbergh. They're going to 1K counter out. I'm going to swing 4 into the 2,000 power Kuma. They let it go. We're going to trash a trigger, playing out the Nami, KOing the Karasu. And now we're actually starting to climb back into this game. This is an absolutely insane start for our opponent. I'm doing the math right now. So pause. I'm doing the math currently. I'm like, wait a minute. So they have a 5K, 7K, 7K attack here coming in. Am I even going to be able to survive? That's what's going through my head right now. So, okay, I can get out of the 5K with a 1K counter, and I can get out of the other, out of one of the 7Ks with a 2K, 1K. So I'm like, okay, I can't even play out this Lindbergh, or I'll lose the game, unless I want a chance getting another counter, another trigger from my life. Okay, so I don't think I should use this just because I have it calculated in hand. Okay, and I don't, and now they swing for 5. That one we can get out of very easily with a 1K. And then they're going to swing in here. I should take this one to see if I get a better answer, and I end up getting the Koala. We're not going to use Koala in this situation. Or maybe we do. Excuse me. I wanted to keep the trigger card in hand in case I got another Nami. Okay, so here we go. It's time to eat up his entire board. There's nothing he can do to save it. He has 0 cards in hand, guys. 0 cards in hand. So right now I'm just trying to determine how I want to do it. So we'll go there and there. And I do have to gain a life this turn, or I just lose, right? They could just load up 3, 6, 8 Dawn on their leader and swing for 13. So we're going to play out the Kikinojo. We're going to attach 7 here. We're going to swing 7 there, getting rid of his Inazuma. I'm going to gain a life card, and then we'll go plus 2,000 on the Bonnie. Yeah, on the Bonnie, not the Nami. If they want to get rid of my Nami, by all means, it's yours. Okay, so they're going to load up for 13 here. Load it for 8 and swing for 13 at, let's see what they choose to do here. The right play, actually, so that was the wrong play in my opinion for them, and they shouldn't have gone at life. That was correct. But go for my Bonnie, because now when I attach a Dawn to my Bonnie, you better believe I'm going to draw 2 trash 1, and I'm going to be able to cycle through cards now very, very easily. If we choose to do that. We'll see. I don't remember exactly what I choose to do here. Okay, here we go. So right here, I'm going to attach 1. We're going to swing for 5, draw 2, trash 1. I'm going to probably get rid of the actually, no. Do not get rid of the Zoro. That might be my win condition. Okay. So right here, I still have 8 Dawn left for the turn. We're going to attach a Dawn to our leader. We're going to swing for 6. I'm trying to see if he's going to get a trigger, and then I can pop it with my Edward Newgate. Okay. So then I push the Newgate back, and now the game is pretty much on lock, right? There's no way I can lose at this point. I have 7K counter in hand, 2 life. And they're on 1 life. Okay, I can literally beat them with what's in my hand and what's on the board. They can't even get rid of my, Okay, 2K, 1K, they're not even going to get rid of my character. Now they're in a lot of trouble. Okay, so here we go. So we'll load up for 7 on here. Swing for 7 into the leader. Let's see what we get. So what I'm gonna do here is swing 7, swing 9. That's my game plan. Okay. We probably just could have swung all in here. I will say we definitely could have swung all in, but I think they just give up anyway. Let me pause it because I'm pretty sure this is the end. Okay. Just waiting for our opponent here. Again, okay, yeah, they can't even get out of this current attack. So what I was going to do there was swing 7, swing 9. That was the slightly safer play, I guess. Like, it does the most amount of damage, but mathematically, they couldn't have gotten out of it. I could have swung for, let me see, 7, 9, 11, 12. I could have swung for 12 there. They weren't going to get out of that, but whatever. It's good to practice. You know, it's good to, you know, practice using the leader's effect and things like that when you have lethal secured anyway. Okay, next game. That was a fun one. Red Yellow Sabo, guys, is no joke, man. I feel like I was in the middle of saying something in that last game, and I just got, you know, got sidetracked there, but hey, it happens. Okay, so we got Red Yellow Sabo here versus Red Blue Marco. Marco is an absolute counter to Red Yellow Sabo, but it's not a counter that we can't win. It doesn't feel as bad as like our matchup against like Katakuri or something. But yeah. It's still a very rough matchup, so especially when we get to pull this slow. I mean, I had no turn 1, no turn 2 play. It feels horrible. We play out the Lindbergh. I seriously doubt this card's going to stick, but I have to at least try it anyway and try to get removal out of my opponent's hand. But then they had 4 Dawn left, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Excuse me. What are they going to do with that? They play out the Atmos, revealing the Marco and the 9 Beard. But hey, we're at 7 Dawn now, and we're actually in pretty good shape. I think we're in a good spot to turn this game around. Now, they were able to push back the Lindbergh with the Atmos effect, but hey, we got a trigger. We're fine. Nami cleans that up. I'm not even going to swing with my Satori yet. I'm trying to keep some bodies on the board. They attack and we get another trigger. Okay, Kikanojo was pretty nice right there. Okay, and I still have 8 Dawn left. So this is a really hard decision here. I was debating on going minus 3,000 power to the Rayleigh, popping the Izo, and now he just has a 5k on the board, and I have an 8 cost 8k. I have my 5k Nami, and then I gain, you know, I won't gain a life for the turn, though. I'd still have my 6k Kikanojo on the board. That was just a very tough call, though. That one was really hard to... I wasn't sure how I wanted to do that properly. Okay, so we're going to swing in for 7. And then we're going to swing in for 7 more. The reason, by the way, I did not mess up with the Nami. The reason she doesn't have 2,000 power from the leader's effect is she was at minus 2,000 from the Rayleigh. Now, watch what happens when I pass the turn. The Marco's effect will fall off, and Nami will go back up to 5,000, but plus 2,000 more from my leader effect, so she'll go up to 7,000. Very confusing, but watch what happens here. We'll play out the Sanji, and I have a 7,000 power character. In Nami, and I have a blocker, and I have 3 life. I'm feeling decent. I've got 3 2K counters in my hand. I'm in a pretty good spot, all things considered. But like I said, guys, I'm actually still nervous at this point in the game because Red Blue Marco is no joke. Like, look at that. They just swung for 7 into my 7. Hang on a second. They were able to swing 7,000 power into my 7,000 power character, but reduce the power of my character down 2,000, totally negating my leader effect first, and being able to swing 7 into 5. And it was like, okay, if they had done, you know, if they didn't have that, I could have gone get out of it with the 2K. They could have swung 8 into it, and I could have gotten out of that with a 2K, and this would have been a very different game, at least potentially. Okay, they swing in for 8 here. I'm going to use this. What just happened? Oh, Ben Beckman. Okay, Ben Beckman happened. That's right. Now, one thing I do want to say as well, notice he's running Ben Beckman. I'm running an OP08.5 list, but I'm having to play on the OP09 server because there is no OP08.5 server out for the West just yet. I think they're probably going to update that next week. I don't know. I'm not trying to say they're going to, but if I had to guess, they'll probably update that sometime very soon. So I swing 7 into 5 here. I finally play out my Rayleigh. I'm going to bash in for 5 there. Then we're going to go 7 into face. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to put them on like a 1-turn clock, and look at this. They got out of it. No problem. So, again, they're going to attach 1 Dawn to their leader, completely negate my leader's effect, and now they're going to swing 5 into 5, and I'm like, oh, man. We'll get out of one of them, you know, and then we'll take 1 hit to life. So, I got out of 1 attack, so that way... Excuse me. I got out of 1 attack, so that way they had to swing into it again, and then I'll just take the 1 hit coming in from the 3rd attack, because that's all they could do. Now, we're still in a very dangerous position. This game's not over. Getting a Zoro is very nice here. Getting a Zoro is really, really nice here. Okay, so let's see what happens here. We'll swing 7 into 5. See what happens. They use the blocker, and they bring it back. So right here, I think what I do is I decide I'm going to put them on a, hang on, I think I play out, if I'm not mistaken, I play out a rush card here. I could be wrong. Maybe I play out the Rayleigh again. I feel like that wouldn't be the right play. Like, looking back, you know, it's funny, hindsight's 20/20, right? And I just feel like the right call would have been to just swing in. Just go 7 at face, and then go up to 3 life, and I only have to get out of 1 attack. But if they had a rush card, that really complicates it. Now, luckily, they did not have a way to save their Marco, so they only have 4 attacks this way. I still only have to get out of 1 attack. And here we go. We'll see what happens. So they're going to swing for 7. I do take this, which was a little bit greedy. But then they swing it for 5. And I'm like, okay, whew, okay, we're safe. So I'll give them a 2K counter here, and then we'll just take every other hit, hoping for a trigger. Excuse me. Okay, we get a Bonnie, which is not really a trigger we wanted, but it's not a bad trigger either. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is actually really dangerous, because now they're swinging in for 9 and then 11. So I do have to get out of this. And I had just enough. I had exactly enough to get out of that attack. So they don't attack in. We're going to swing in for 7. They cannot survive now. We're going to swing in for 10. GG. They can only get out of a 9K attack potentially. Or, excuse me, out of an 8K attack. So that was a really good game. Like I said, guys, Red-Blue Marco is one of those really strong, you know, sleeper decks where, like, no one thinks it's that good. I mean, some people probably think it's good, but, like, I don't think people realize this leader is probably, like, 1 or 2 cards away from being a really, really strong deck in the format. Okay, next game. We got a game here versus Doflamingo. I did try to include a few meta matchups. There aren't a lot of, hang on one second. Volume's off, and did I put speed on 2x? Yeah, I did. There are not a lot of Luchis on the ladder currently. Like, at least, well, I mean, who knows? Maybe on, like, the ranked sim or something. But there are not a lot of Luchis right now playing. I think people might just be burned out, or maybe they're only playing ranked with it. It is what it is. So they set their top 5 cards, going first with Perona. I have nothing on turn 1. Feels horrible. They had all the setup. Swing 7 into 5. And I do have to play around putting a little bit, but at the same time, I don't want to waste cards this early. So I decide I'm not gonna counter out, even though I could have. And now we're in a rough spot here, guys. We're in a rough spot. I'm gonna swing for 5. Let's see what they get. See if they decide to take this or not. They end up taking it. Now we're gonna play out the Lindbergh. Lindbergh will help me clean up the smaller characters like Perona, but now that Doffy has cards like Trafalgar Law, it is not the same, guys. It is not the same at all. It is so much easier for them now to really bully the board, because they can pull back their 1-cost characters and save those anyway, while also doing, you know, what they normally would, pushing our characters back in this case. So swing for 7. They revealed a Mihawk, so now they get to draw 2. They basically get to draw 1 and put 1. They draw 2, and they put 1 card from their hand back on top of their deck for next turn. But I think we took 1, countered out of the other, and we did get a Satori trigger from it. And now we can at least try to start cleaning up the board, but they've got 7 cards in hand. They played out 4 bodies. They've only taken 1 hit, and they have 7 cards in hand. You know, so this is a rough position here. Very, very rough position. But that's okay. I'm fine with just eating up this hand of his. You know, I just swung in for 6. He lost it. He gave up a 2K counter, gave up another 2K counter from the 5K hit. We'll pop the Buggy, which is a 2K counter. I will say this. Excuse me. There was an argument to KO the Perona instead, but the Buggy's a 2K counter, and Perona is still a 1K counter, but at the same time, Perona allows them to do a top 5 search. So it was, I don't know, I think it was kind of pick your poison, but I just prefer getting the Buggy off the board. And let me see one more thing, actually. There's one other relevant factor. Okay, they're both 2,000 power. So yeah, it kind of goes however you want to do that. You guys tell me what y'all think. What was the right decision there for, should I have KO'd the Perona, or should I have KO'd the Buggy? So we'll swing for 7 into 6 here. He gives me a 2K counter. I've got a board now. Does he want a Gravity Blade? Okay, swinging for 5. It's going to be a Gravity Blade. I'm going to give him a choice. What does he want to get rid of? I would get rid of the, yeah, those are the exact 2 I would have gotten rid of for sure, because those are the ones that have the most value for me. Okay, so the Satori here he's still on the board, and they decided they weren't going to attack with the Boa Hancock, Well, guess what? I'm going to pop it anyway, trashing the Lindbergh, and I get to cycle a card because I was at 3 or less cards in hand. I push the Satori back to my life, and now I can get that back into play if I need it, or I could just keep it as a 2K counter now. Okay, so they play out the Boa, setting their top cards. Oh, it looks like they didn't like what they saw as their top 3 cards from the Boa search, so they're actually having to do a Doflamingo search now to try to set the cards they actually want on the top of their deck, which happens, which does happen. They're going to swing for 7. Okay, much better. They get the Jinbei there, and then they'll cheat out the Weevil with it, drawing a card. And here we go. Let's see what happens here. I do take it, and I'm debating right now if I actually want to play it, and I choose to. I do choose to play it. Looking back, I don't know if that was the right play. So, Paul, let's talk about that last turn there. I don't know if that was necessarily the correct play, because what I could have done with that Fire Fist, for example, is I could have actually popped the Doflamingo, because I have 2 or less life, right? So I get to use the full effect of Fire Fist, popping a 0 power character when there's, you know, and doing minus 4,000 power. So I could have gone minus 4,000 power on the Doflamingo, pop it, and then just swing around through that. However, I did top deck a very relevant card. I did top deck a very, very relevant card. So let's see what we do here. Gadatsu's going to be able to pop the Doflamingo. However, I'm trying to do this in the right way. I would really like for them to block out with the Doflamingo and then let me get the Jinbei with another attack. Then I could remove the Perona and just drop their board size down, you know, pretty drastically. Let's see what my opponent lets me do. So I'll swing 7 into 5. They just let it go. I'm like, okay, all right. So now I have to use the Gadatsu now to get rid of the Doflamingo. We're going to swing in for 7, and then we're going to swing in for 8. And now I actually have them in a pretty decent position here. And I will say this right now, guys, when it comes to the Doflamingo matchup, even with the OP08.5 cards, yes, if they just go Jinbei into Weevil, Jinbei into Boa, Jinbei into this, Jinbei into that, if they get like a bunch of Jinbeis, pause for a second, if they get a ton of different Jinbeis, it does feel rough. That is a hard thing to go through and to, you know, to overpower. But other than that, when they don't get the 3 Jinbeis in their starting hand game, I feel like this is a pretty decent matchup for us even still, especially if they're not running. I did run across a few Doflamingo decks that were running Jozu, the 6-cost 7K Jozu that bounces one of your cards back to bounce a 6 or less back from your opponent's side. That card is very strong into our deck. I will say that. I'll probably talk about that in another video, though. So they swing in for 7. I'm not giving them a 2K counter. I want them to attack into my board because I'm going to KO whatever character they didn't, whatever character they didn't swing with. Okay, swing for 6. I'll take it. Popping that card, getting another card. The Gadatsu's pretty worthless here, to be honest, but hey, I mean, it's still a card that it gets rid of Perona here. I can get rid of Perona, develop a body, and go about things that way. So here we go. I think right here, yeah, I'm actually trying to get this guy down to 0. It's like, hey, man, you're up. You're going to have to play blockers or you're just toast, right? I'm coming in for 15 if you don't have a blocker. So let's see what they do here. So they have 6 Dawn left. What are they going to do? I'm going to take that, check it out. We got a trigger. You better believe we're playing the trigger out because they don't have 7 Dawn left. They can't do Gravity Blade. When they attacked in, that was actually pretty much GG, unless they could try to go for lethal, and they couldn't. Okay, swinging in for 8. Guess what? I'm taking this because I can't counter it anyway. Oh, another trigger. And I'm just going to use my last card in hand because this guy's a blocker and they have no more attacks. So guess what? I've got 4 bodies attacking. They only have 2 blockers and they only have 6 cards in hand. So the way that this is going to go is it is just going to be, I think, just 7 and then all 9s across the board, or 7s and then all 8s or something like that in a 10. We'll see. I have to do a little bit of math here. Okay, so 7 first. Okay, this will force a 2K, 1K. Okay, they have 4 cards left in hand. Now we're going to go, I mean, I'm just going to do the most I can do on each attack, right? That's basically what we're going for here. All right. Because every single one of these attacks right here does have to go through or I lose the game. Okay? So I swing in for 8. I'm like, okay. I'm like, whew. It looks like we might get there. Let's see if he was bluffing. And now I know it's over because this last attack will be for 10. He could only get out of a 7K attack. Wow. So we had the 8,000 power attack was exactly enough. Well, I guess technically another 7 would have gotten out of it as well. But still, that was one of those situations where it's like mathematically we can win this or totally blunder it. Right? So it ended up being 7, 8, 8, 10 at the end. And that ended up getting us there. So really good game to that Doflamingo player. Doffy is a scary deck still, guys. That's a very strong deck. Okay, we got 2 more. We got a game versus Purple Luffy here. Speed 2x, and here we go, guys. So I do think that our purple Luffy matchup is decent, especially if we start building this deck to be a little more aggressive, which is an option. So, for example, I think the red-yellow Revo Army version of red-yellow Sabo probably just runs this deck over, especially if you give it some rush support. It does still need a little bit of... That's a topic for a whole other video, guys. I will be talking about... I've already recorded some games, Pauls. So for OP09... I have been doing some games here. Let me sit up in my chair. I have been messing around with some games of Sabo with Revo Army, the Revo Army package. And I think if we can find the perfect balance to go like maybe 75% Revo Army and then 15% triggers and then 10% rushers, that might be the way to go as well. As opposed to the version we're running here, which is still very good, by the way. I'm still going to run a version like this that's more controlling and built more around removal instead of a type. But that is a topic for another day. That is for another video. But Red Yellow Sabo's future looks pretty good and very, very like diverse. You'll be able to play it in so many different ways. Tons of variety. So we go ahead and pop his 5-cost guy, even though he ramped to it. We're just going to, he got to 5 Dawn last turn with his leader effect, and then we're just going to KO the, that's why this card is so strong, guys. This Nami is so strong. I was able to pop his 5-cost 6K, Eustace Kid, even though they ramped to it, because 5 Dawn, we get rid of a 5-cost, very powerful. Okay. So let's see what they play. They're on their 7 Dawn turn. Yep, makes sense. If I had not gotten rid of that Eustace Kid, guys, this might not have been a great game. So they're going to swing it for 5. I do take it. I don't have a lot of counter power in hand, actually. I have 4 cards in hand that are bricks. And in this deck, guys, I think I only run 13 bricks in the entire deck. So it's like, you know, it's unfortunate, but here we are. So swing for 6, swing for 6. He takes it. Okay, that is a tell right there. Like, wait a minute. What do you mean he takes that? He's down to 2 life. If he wants to ramp again, he goes down to 1 life. Like, typically speaking, purple Luffy will counter very aggressively so they can use their leader effect to draw more cards. It's like I'm going to counter out for, you know, 2k or something, and I'm going to draw a card for my life anyway, getting the full benefits of my leader while not losing too much life. And look, guys, they just ramped up to 9. They're going to play out the 9 Lin. They're going to push back my Nami to the bottom of my deck, and they're going to gain a life. But guys, I've got a lot of pressure coming their way, right? Like I've got a lot of pressure. I've got unblockable Luffy in my hand. Okay, draw 2, trash 1 with my with the Bonnie's effect there. Seems good. That's such a great trigger. Draw 2, trash 1, such a good trigger. So here we go. I fixed up my hand a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I've decided I don't really care much for Rayleigh this game. We're gonna swing for 7 into face here. Let's see what he does. This is gonna cost a 2k and a 1k. And if he doesn't do that, I'm going to come in for 8,000 more with the, actually, excuse me, at that point, I might come in, because he has no blocker, I might come in for 9k. Yeah. We're going to come in for 9k now with Zoro. This is going to go through almost no doubt. Push it to top of life. I'm at 4 life. Would you like to attack me and give me my rush card back and give me potential triggers? Or do you want to keep trying to build your board up? They decide they want to build their board up, and let's see if they attack. If I remember correctly, they don't attack. Yeah, they do not attack at all, but here's where it's just really, really bad news for my opponent. I'm going to swing for 7. This is going to cost another 0 cost 3k or some kind of 2k, 1k combo. 0 cost 3k, very nice. And now we're coming in for 9 more, unblockable. And now I'm going to push this card to the top of my life. Your turn. Now you have to play out a blocker. You have to make sure you don't attack into me unless you can somehow stop my attack. This is a nightmare situation for my opponent. This is a total nightmare. And this is one of those loops. I've been trying to play around not using the loop as much lately, trying to just hardcore control the game. But sometimes it's not an option. Okay, so here we go. Playing out the cracker here. That was a little bit greedy, but I did, hey, never punished. That was a little bit greedy, let's be honest. I probably should have just countered out of that 6k attack with a 2k in my hand. Because I have Satori, but again, look at this, guys. I have gone through so many cards in my deck, so they do give up. The game's over. But let me just explain real quick what I was going to say. I think it's 13, excuse me, I think I have somewhere between 13 to 15 bricks in my entire deck. I have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. I think I went through 7 of the 15. That was just like a really unlucky game for me with my counters. But hey, the triggers were all there. That was pretty nice. Really good stuff. So why is this game over? Why did they leave? What's going on? Why didn't they just play a blocker and a blocker, right? They have a 0 cost 3k. Why didn't they just try that? Well, ultimately, guys, here's the thing. I just got 2 bodies, right? I just got 2 bodies on the board, and I'm at 1 or less life. Okay, excuse me, I should say I'm at 2 or less life. I can actually pop the Onami and just get it right off the board for free, right? Well, for 2 Dawn. So 2 Dawn, one of their blockers is gone. And then I still have 8 Dawn left to work with, and I'm going to swing in for lots, right? Like, you know, it's a really tough position for them. They could have tried to do a time warp with Luffy, but I actually was going to be able to play around that perfectly, because if they had swung in, I could, you know, I have a 2K in hand, I have a 1K and a 0-cost 3K. So I could have gotten around those Luffy attacks if needed, and he couldn't even ramp a Dawn card because he has 0 life. I'm not a big fan of the 10-cost Luffy in Purple Luffy. I don't think it's quite as good, but that's just me. And I get what they're trying to do, because they do have the 9-cost Linlin, so they could potentially do the ramping if they needed to. But yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of it in this deck. I think the 10-cost Luffy's incredible in like Red-Purple Luffy or in Purple-Black Luffy. But in the Purple Luffy, it's not quite as good. At least not in my personal opinion. Okay, we got one more game left, guys. We got a game. This one's a fun one. We got like a little bonus game here. You know, Black-Yellow Linlin. Let's go, man. My 2 favorite leaders right here. Absolutely incredible. We got Red-Yellow Sabo versus Black-Yellow Linlin. And I have to say, I think Red-Yellow Sabo is pretty favored in this matchup. I think it's pretty favored. So they play out Zeus, giving Banish to their leader. I give him a 2K counter to get out of the Banish. And now we're just going to eat up the board. Excuse me. They did not block out, but we're going to play out Gadatsu, popping that, and now we're in a pretty good shape already. Poor Charlotte Linlin. It just feels so gimmicky. It feels like it doesn't have a leader effect. We take that hit. We love taking that hit there to like get cards in hand. They play out a Nico Robin. Again, so remember, guys, I'm playing an OP08.5 deck, but my opponents in all these games, they had full access to OP09. So they might have been playing a few cards that were from OP09, but I can't help that, right? It is what it is. Okay, so they get a Nefeltari Vivi, but I did get to draw 2 Trash 1 with my Bonnie's effect there. I think I should get rid of a Zoro because I already have 1. You typically only need 1 Zoro a game. Okay, so I guess it looks like I'm going to develop a Kikinojo here. Let's swing for 6. Let's see what he does. And then I think I'm going to push the Gadatsu to life, maybe. Honestly, I think I should push the Gadatsu to life. Okay, I'm not attacking. Excuse me. So I thought I was going to swing for 7 with the Jewelry Bonnie. But, okay, now I know why. I was going to say, why didn't I attack? I should have. No, I shouldn't have, because that would have dropped Black-Yellow Linlin to 1 life. So they got access to 1 more trigger, and they could have gained a life this turn and gone about things that way. Instead, I developed my board, and they could have attacked into my board, which is what we don't want to happen. Okay, so they're going to swing in for 5 here. I should probably counter out of this one and take the next hit from the Nico Robin. Yep, so we 1K countered out. We take the Nico Robin. We're back down to 2 life. And they have 7 Dawn, I think. No, excuse me. They have 8 Dawn this turn. And they're going to play out the 6-cost Charlotte Linlin. And I have to make a very hard decision here. I just decide to lose a life, I believe. Yeah. And unfortunately, it was a Frankie. That would have been nice. Unfortunately, it was a Frankie. However, remember, guys, I can gain life just as quickly as Charlotte Linlin can. And I can do it for 1 Dawn, whereas for her it costs 4 Dawn and trashing a card and has to be at a certain life total. So we're going to go ahead and play out the Rayleigh here because I'm not really like upset about my board state. I think I'm actually in a very good board state. And I do need to gain a life because I think they're going to play out the Tinlin next turn if they have it in hand. So we'll swing in for 4. We'll swing in for 6 into 5. And then I think we're going to swing in for 6. I get the Flaming Dragon King out of hand. Technically, I should have... I don't know. Let me just say this. I guess it didn't matter in the end because of how I swung with the Bonnie, but I could have buffed it, but they countered out for 9 anyway. It didn't even matter. So they play out the Tenlin, getting rid of my Rayleigh that I put on top there. But at the same time, check this out, guys. This is just what Red-Yellow Sabo can do. Like what you're about to see here, guys. This is just what the deck can do. So draw 2, trash 1. I don't think we need Fire Fist anymore. And my opponent's probably thinking like, okay, they're in a little bit of trouble as long as I survive this turn. Well, that's the issue. That truly is the issue, is surviving this turn. So right here, I swing for 6. They 2K. They give me a 0-cost 3K. So now I'm going to swing in for 7. This goes through, no trigger. Play out Zoro, push that back to life, swing in for 9K, and that's going to be GG. Very cool hand there that Black-Yellow Linlin had as well. They had a 2K counter, they had a 1K, they had Raigo, and they had a Newgate. So they actually almost countered out of that. If I was 1,000... So they must have gotten greedy with that last attack when I swung for 6. they should have just given me a 2K counter, I feel like. Then they'd have another card in hand, 0 cost. Then they might have actually been able to get out of it, to be honest. They might have been able to get out of it. However, I don't see that they would have won on the crackback. Because, I mean, even with perfect attacks, on the final attack, I would be able to counter out of a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 3, 8. So I could have gotten out of a 12K attack. So even if they did things perfectly, their attacks would have had to be like, I think it would have just been 11, 12. Hang on. 11, 11, 12, I think is what they could have done. So even with that, I actually could have gotten out of it. And my last card was a Charlotte Cracker. So I was pretty safe at the end there, even if they somehow could have countered out of that last attack for 9. GG, that was a really good game there. Very fun. I always love playing against Black Yellow Linlin. Always love to see that deck, you know, doing its thing. All right, so here we go, guys. Let's get my head out of the way. And here's the list that I recommend for people going into starter deck 15. So hey, here's the nice thing I will say. If you are a red yellow Sabo main, you're not going to have to buy any of the starter decks except one. And I mean literally just one, not two, to get a full playset. Because check this out, guys. I'm only running 2 of the new gates. We didn't even see them really pop up in today's games. We did see it pop up like once or twice, I think. But guys, the deck is still just sturdy as is. And here's what I would recommend. If Doflamingo starts taking over like a lot of people think it will, what I would actually suggest is going down maybe the Rayleighs and going up Gadatsu's, because guys, Gadatsu and Nami tag teaming against Doffy's board, it's really strong, guys. It's really, really strong, especially when you're able to play out a Nami to pop one of their characters, and if it survives on the next turn, you're probably going to attack in with a Nami to take out one of their other characters, and then push it back to life, and then trigger take out another character. So Nami is insane, and then a Gadatsu loop is also insane. Gadatsu looping is crazy, guys. Gadatsu looping is like, against Doffy in particular, it's like, okay, you know, I pop your character on play, and then next turn I swing for 7 for 1 Dawn into one of your other characters, push it into life, and now next turn I can pop another character. I think Nami is slightly better for what we're doing because it can also potentially cycle a card, but it does cost a card to do the effect. So there is something to be said there. But yeah, and then there is one other card I've been kind of experimenting with lately. I've been kind of messing around with it, at least mentally. I haven't done actual physical play testing with it, but it's really been on my mind, is 8-cost Katakuri. 8-cost Katakuri, guys, especially if I'm doing Gadatsu tricks, 8-cost Katakuri just removes a threat from the board immediately, or lets me gain a life later in the game. I can attach it onto my leader and put it back into life very easily. I think moving forward, I'm definitely going to keep my eye on Katakuri. I'm not focused on going back to the Big Mom package, like the full, you know, Big Mom Pirates package that just runs all those cards. But Katakuri in particular has been on my mind lately because I think it deals with a lot of annoying cards. It just gets them out of the way. Like I said, guys, I did play against a version of Jozu today, yesterday, of Blue Doflamingo with a deck running Jozu, and that card just counters every single card in our deck except 2 cards, and those 2 cards being Rayleigh and Edward Newgate. But guess what? Those cards can't even... Edward Newgate and Rayleigh can't even touch Jozu. This is the card I'm talking about, guys. Let me go to 6 costs real quick and go to blue. Whoops. This card right here. So 6 cost, 7,000 power, 1K counter. It's a Whitebeard Pirates type card. They can't search it up or anything, and they can't play it from the top of their deck because it costs 6, and it's not Whitebeard Pirates. But it's basically the Big Brother version of Trafalgar Law, where it's like, this is a 6 cost, 7K with a 1K counter. On play, return one of your characters other than this card to your hand, and then return up to one of your opponent's cost 6 or less characters to their hand. So literally, it's like, let me get rid of this and type in Trafalgar. We'll just type in Trafal. It's like this card, but souped up, even bigger. It costs 2 more, but instead of being able to remove a 4 or less, it removes a 6 or less. They're both returning cards, and that's actually a very good thing for Doflamingo, because they're pulling back their searchers. They're pulling back their 2K counters and their searchers and their little characters, or even characters they want to protect for the turn. And it's just, and they have so much utility, guys. Again, let me get back to 6 here and go to this one. Notice this. Notice what it says, guys. Return up to 1 cost 6 or lower character to the original owner's hand. I actually said it incorrectly when I first said it. You're going to bounce back one of your characters to your hand, and then you're going to bounce a 6 cost to its opponent's hand. A 6 cost or lower to its opponent's hand. So you'll be able to get back one of your other guys, you know, and just protect your board in that way. This card has so much utility. It's insane, guys. This card is so strong. It's so good against us. Because I'll say this right now, for those who are not aware, like before OP08.5 releases, Red Yellow Sabo is looking at like a, I don't know, it feels like a 70 or 75% win rate against Doflamingo. It's so free. But now that they're getting the new, let me bring out forecast cards real quick. Hang on, guys, it takes a second for it to come in like this. So for the new forecast cards for Doflamingo, like Jinbei was always fine because we can actually deal with that very easily now with Newgate. Weevil was always a nuisance, but we're used to that. But the cards that are even crazier, in my opinion, are the new ones coming out. Why can't I find them? Sorry, guys, just give me here they are. They're at the bottom. Okay, this card and this card are absolutely cracked, and they hurt our deck so much. Like they make the matchup even now. Like now it's an even matchup, which is really annoying. But if they're running, I've seen some versions run the Jozu and some not run Jozu. But the decks that are running Jozu, not this one, sorry, this one right here. This one, the decks that are running this, whew, it's built very well to counter what we're doing as Red Yellow Sabo. And if this kind of stuff does persist, I think we do have to go up our Namis and go back up our Gadatsus, where it's like, okay, I'll tell you what, if you want to bounce one of my removal cards back to my hand, be my guest. And at that point, if we do go that route, this Lindbergh might have to go down. We'll have to see what happens, and it might have to go up for Gadatsus, like I said. We might have to just run a full-on removal sweep and go full control mode until OP09. We'll see what happens, though. We'll have to update that as things progress. Okay, guys, y'all tell me what y'all think in the comment section below about Red Yellow Sabo. What kind of luck have you guys been having with the deck? Are there any certain matchups that are just really rough? And I'll tell you right now, guys, the roughest matchups for me have been Katakuri. Calgara's pretty rough, but I think it's closer to a 50-50. And Enel is really annoying. I feel like Enel is like 40-60. Like, we have a 40% chance to win. They have 60%. But, guys, Katakuri feels like 20-80 or like, you know, 10-90 or something like that. It's so brutal. And that's the real hard part about balancing this deck. And it's why I wish there was a pre-sideboard in this game, like how there is in Flesh and Blood, where it's like, okay, if I could put in my aggro cards against Katakuri, I could get closer to a 50-50 matchup. But against a deck like Doffy, all my aggro cards, I mean, I guess you technically can sneak wins on people with aggro, but I'd rather have my control cards where I just pop stuff. But, you know, that's wishful thinking. I know that's not a thing. I'm just saying, guys, it is very hard to balance this deck right now. And I think that's why in the East they're actually resorting to just going Red, Yellow, Reva, Army, Sabo. But, hey, like I said, I do want to talk about that later. I think I mentioned that in today's video. I do want to talk about that sometime later. All right, we're done. Let's go ahead and put up the playmat screen here. Let me shrink my head down a little bit. There we go. Big shout out to everybody who supports the channel. Thank you guys so much, guys. If you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing, whatever you're doing, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. And then also if you bought one of the play mats, I hope you're enjoying that. Those came out really cool. Those were great. That was, you know, I really appreciate people who support me like this, guys. I really do. And then last but not least, the people who are just donating to help the cause, just trying to keep me afloat and keep the dream alive. Thank you guys so much. Okay, I am done, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed. If I missed something, please be nice. Say something in the comment section below, but just please be respectful. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope y'all enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, peace.